Hey, I'm Milan from Blacks and Empire. This is good old Pythius.
Hi.
Today we'll run you through a track that came out on our last album, The Wrong Room. The track's called Scarif. And yeah, that's one of the new collabs we did with him. Well, this is a collaboration I did with Pete, or we did with Pete. We wanted to do like a trance and bass kind of track that we've been done in the back in the day as well, but then give it a new 2017 twist. And Hilke is very a lot of his big tracks are the trance and bass tracks as well.
Yeah.
So we thought it might be cool to collaborate and do something like a Blacks and Empire and Pythius track. So yeah, it's called Scarif. Not sure why.
It's from Star Wars.
Oh yeah.
Big surprise there.
As you can see, it's quite an elaborate track with fucking tons of tracks. We'll run you through it.
So, we started out with an arpeggio and all that, riding the arpeggio because that's the main part of the whole track. So we were busy with writing the riff, and then we got one sound, but that one arpeggio doesn't sound big enough because it's trance, everything has to sound massive. So then we just layered a lot, 8 or 9 arpeggios on each other, and they all can show them how they sound them, because they all contribute to one big, massive trance sound. And we actually have some other non-trance sounds in there as well. Because when we wrote we don't really like using the arpeggios inside the synths because they don't give you enough control, and you can make the really extensive chord changes and all that. So you just MIDI it all up. What's funny though, because we had here, because to keep the arpeggios interesting of the 16 bars, we had the chord just playing the 3 tones at the same time, and then afterwards we switched it up to more interesting to get a nice rhythm in the arpeggio. So went from the chord to then later on to keep such a big trance build-up interesting without being what is it, 44 seconds of the same arpeggio going on, and I think that works. And then you just layer and layer and layer. It's pretty simple. Cool. So it's a pretty easy standard plug, really, just 2 saw weights, the fast envelope, going to the filter, and on the FX. Click on the FX. There's a slight downsampling distortion on it, just to give it a bit of edge, because let me just go to a part where the cutoff is a bit more open. You can hear it if you just disabled it. So it sounds a bit more dull if you want it. So you just bring the patch a bit more up to life by just doing that small bit of distortion on the top. And then you have the
You're
reverb.
modulating that as well with the envelope.
Yeah, that is true. And what also brings this particular arpeggio bit to life is there an elevato on here, which is slowly. It's a sort of sidechain, but it's not really. But it just gives a bit more rhythm and life to the whole patch. So then you get to the.
It's doing a big phaser as well.
Yeah, this one's a really big phaser on there. This is disabled because it's super heavy. Then you just a more paddy layer just to fill it up a bit, and then another arpeggio. This would be nice if I could open this. So this is another arpeggio. It's kind of the same idea really, but just by using some other waveforms and throwing out in unison real high, we get completely different sound. And then it's basically layering of a bazillion other. This one's a bit deeper sounding, so you get a mere bottom end your arpeggio as well. And that's kind of how you build these up, by just slapping tons and tons of arpeggios on top of each other. There's another one with a bit more like body. And then here, when it switched over, when you go into like the other arpeggio rhythm, Milan added some nifty surge synths, which he might be willing to explain.
Sure, yeah. We just to give it some speed, it sounds off really distorted, but you can't really hear it here. It's old synth, and it's not very familiar, this sort of surge, but we still use it tons. And this is just, coming out of, I think there's 2 versions of this as well. This is a Yui actually. Yeah, it's both of these, just given the whole thing, just a tempo change and a different feel. And a little bit more dirt instead of all the polite.
The niceness.
Yeah.
Figures.
Let's see what else is in there. Yeah. So all those things combined, make a cool breakdown, and like the classic trance, atmosphere.
A lot of reverb. That's very important.
Reverb, modulation, and the whole bus is being processed as well. Everything's going through one bus. Always good ones. What have you done?
What was I doing?
Why is it not doing that anyway? So yeah, we just this was more or less the start of the track. I mean, we started off with the idea of doing a track like this, but of course, for a track like this, you need a good riff. So that definitely took the most of the time to come up with something, original and something you can use in drum and bass, because it can't be too happy. That doesn't really work. So there's got to be a little bit of emotion and drama and
needed edge.
And all the tempos as well. It's kind of hard to make them fit within drum and bass, because the tempo in drum and bass is so fast. So like it's easier to do it at 120 or at 130 BPM. But yeah, I think this rhythm worked. I mean, yeah, it's being sidechained, the whole thing, but that's not in here. It's actually being bypassed here in the what else? General filter. The only thing that's happening now in the breakdown is the reverb modulation, like it's coming out of a full reverb mix, coming down. Let's see what else is on there. We've got vitamin, that's like an exciter kind of waves vitamin, brings a lot of like excitement to the high end, to the high frequencies. It's quite a big difference when there is high. It gets a lot more attack, brings it out in front. And we've got the Sonelx is doing the second breakdown, I think.
Yeah.
Like a bit reducer. You can do that.
the floor.
We're doing that somewhere.
Yeah. At some point it gets a bit a bit crushed.
Yeah.
So all the filters of every arpeggio are like inside the individual sim because because it sounds nicer, at least according to me. If you filter it inside, then if you just have like one big filter on the entire like group bus, it will then very different, and you get like very different dynamics in the sound and the. So that's why we did it at that. But this does mean like doing a shit ton of automation. Like actually die if you don't start doing this. Like if you do an Ableton, you could like send it all to one knob, which is nice. But yeah, in Cubase it just means automation hell.
Over here, it's all the automation is different as well. I mean, there's a big difference between doing a general low-pass filter on a complete bus, or, for example, modulating the modulation depth of an envelope, and that's what we do as well. So not just take the filter down, but just modulate the amount of what an envelope is doing. That's that'll get you a completely different effect.
So when we started out the track, we're just trying it out with like a normal like classic type of reed. We tried that for a long time.
Yeah.
I remember like spent way too much time on that but that didn't really work out. So then we like halfway we decided maybe let's go for like a more modern sound, like a bit more digital, like sounding a bit more like now, but still trying to retain the feel of like an old school like drum and bass reed. And that's what we did.
Yeah, with the old school drum and bass reading, it's like we try to like resample one, make a resample, and you get if you put it in a sampler, you'll get like a lot of the movement you get from it being resampled. So you get a small sample and that loops, and that'll get you movement. But now we did it all in synths, so you won't have that, or there might actually be there might be one layer of something like that in there still. I'm not even sure.
I think it's all just directly from synths.
Okay, yeah. Looks no, there's one here.
Oh. Dat is contact. Oh, dat is voor die switch natuurlijk. Ja.
So there's still one old. It's not old, but like the one sampled reese in there.
I think it's one of the other sounds though, resampled.
Yeah.
Just to give it like that extra layer of dirt when the switch hits. So it's just like, because you have to change the sound a bit, and I have to make it, because you also like when the switch happens in this track, we throughout the arpeggios, you need something to fill that up, and just to grab the attention of the listener back into the track. More feel apparently works in this track.
Yeah.
Maybe you can like play the bass section.
As you can see, it's what is it, 8 layers of bass now.
Yeah.
So it's not just the one patch either. This is one of the more obvious. It's a massive. I think if you take this one out.
Yeah.
So this is probably the main. It's not given the low end, but it's given most of the character. A lot of this is generated by the tube distortion, I think, in massive, which is.
It's
given a
more
lot of
the shapers.
Yeah, that is one.
Yeah, well, there's like the modulation. I'm just doing a bit of phasing, which is a very, very small one, but it's on the power chord, as you can see. So you just get a bit more like of an open sound. So if you take that out, like, I don't even hear it really. Then you have the LFO going.
Turn it up a little. Yeah, you just get a tiny bit of more scream on there.
It's a small LFO, just doing a bit of wavetable modulation, really. It's like pretty like even not a synced rate, just going at it all by itself, and then there's not that much like processing on here. So like,
well, you bypass that.
yeah, let's see how it sounds without it. Okay, that's a bit more than that. Yeah, probably this one, eh?
Phase and diminution.
Ah.
Fluid.
So yeah, so that's kind of what happens when you slowly turn off all the stuff in there. So you just like this one is mainly this is distortion one. There's the tube and the exciter and the Mac that really make it super dirty. So that gives you like a nice extra. And then this is just really the small bump in the high. And you take off the lows a bit because we're just using a separate sub, like two separate subs. Like this one. And then it's like my favorite phaser is the Phaser 10, which sounds amazing. It's like just makes it phasing in a nice way. The isotope trash, but you don't really hear it because the sound is so distorted. It's just not going anywhere anymore. You hear the fluid going off a bit. It's like a nice chorus plug-in. So it just gets that extra whiteness in there. And this one just take a high bit up because they play a bit too much and more low cut. So that's really what's happening. All the modulation on this one. And then they have like some other layers of like dirt on top, really. This is more. This is like a small dirty sound, and then Milan built some cool stuff there. I got
the end of.
Yeah.
It's not even end of bar things. So.
If all the FM8 ones are pretty cool as well.
Yeah, just some bass effect kind of things.
Yeah, this is just like those two waveforms. They're already pretty like modulating a lot. So if you just like put throw the LFO on the wavetable position, that does most of the work in this patch actually. The camera, and then you just have like this small.
See, this is without the wavetable modulation.
Yeah.
So it's more or less.
So most of the character comes out of the wavetable modulation in this one, really. Yeah, and of course, like the compressor, like we just like really push that multiband compressor with Serum. It just can make it sound really cool.
Yeah. I am. This is in another part of the bass. Pretty complex FM8, but it's basically making a whole lot of sines and saws into a big modulated. See, it's actually not. It doesn't have that much high, but FM8 really lends itself for being distorted afterwards. Yeah, so you can get a pretty dull sound of it, but if you distort it heavily afterwards, it'll still sound good. So let me see what's on the thing here. I think the majority of all the distortion is being made by this. Good old trash. As you can see, quite a bit of distortion here. And then let's see another fluid. That's not doing too much. LFO tool is great as well, especially for creating modulation, because you can use, I think it's doing that over here as well. You can use this, like we're not using on this time we are using the LFO, but a lot of times we use it as a straight up phaser as well. Just because all the different filter types, with all the different filter types, you can just, sweep them or have them, triggered by an envelope or the LFOs, or just, draw them in modulation, so the sound changes over time and, keeps staying interesting.
It's the same
that's
sound.
That's the same sound as the other serum, but it just sounds a little.
Yeah, differently processed.
Yeah. This one still has more mids. And then we've got another distortion for a change, driver. That's pretty good.
Trying something new there. More distortion.
But again, I think a lot of the, let's see, Camel Fat it's an oldie, but it's still, yeah, we still really like it a lot. Let's see, what else is on there? Here we go.
And the two sub-layers, maybe you can explain where we have the two sub-layers.
Yeah. Okay, there's a couple other Reese sort of sounds, but they're all more or less, they're not the same, but all of them together. See, this is very just white noisy to give it a bit of shine on the top end. It's not going to be loud in the mix, but it'll make sure, it'll make sure that it's bright enough. But then with all those distorted, all those maximum distorted layers, the sub is probably not going to sound nice. So we took out all the subs for all the different parts and then just made a dedicated sub channel, which is here basically a straight up sine wave with no processing and all on this. It does sound a little clipped, but
yeah.
That's just because it's being pushed over here now, because it'll be sidechained in the mix. So if I play it like this, it'll clip a little. And yeah, we added another one because this is doubling the harmonics. This is just playing the sub at 1 octave up. So we've got that. You can see it better in like here in span, for example. Then we turn one off. See, as you can see, with this being the ground note, like here, adding that with a little over 100 hertz will give you the whole mix will just sound a lot fuller without it, or with it. While it's not really the sub, it's not really the sub, but it does help making the whole mix, a little bit more in balance. Otherwise, sometimes you get a real big gap in that area, and adding this just fills it up really nice. You do have to sidechain it so it doesn't, because it's usually around the frequencies where the kick is as well, quite heavily. So Yeah, but so the sub and that layer are definitely sidechained to the kick. I can show you that here, I think. Yeah, as you can hear, it's the kick. Yeah, you can see there's quite a bit of gain reduction here. I'm not sure if you can get that on the video, but the rest, the whole Reese group is doing the same, I think. That's even getting more sidechain than the other one.
It's kind of what makes the sound as well. That's like the pumping sidechain going on.
Yeah, that's part of the, not just the modulating Reese's make the groove, but the sidechain makes part of the groove as well. It's a bit of a combination between the two. And it's a little bit easier to get the kick to stand out as well if you sidechain it like this. At first we tried having have the ARP or part of the ARP drop over the, have it play over the drop, but that just didn't work, so we had to switch it up with something else. There were already a couple of chords on the drop, but those alone with the massive build-up of all the chords or all the ARPs, just it just didn't work. Dropping straight into a Reese thing, it just wasn't enough. We had some chords, but also that it was too big of a switch. I'll play the chords, but like I think we had these we had, right?
Yeah, that's what we.
Yeah, this was basically the only thing. This and the Reese.
Yeah, but there was some small other stuff like that one and like the reverse chords. We had some reverse chords and like some small.
But even that, because it just lost too much speed as well. So we, I created this search thing, and it's just really dominant in the high frequencies. It's it just really stands out in the mix. It's because it's just a little obnoxious, to be honest, with a sample and hold, really dirty high. Like if you it's I'll play the sound without effects. See, already in the synth, it sounds dirty. It's got 3 aux playing with I'll solo one. None of them really, except for the last one maybe. This one sounds the least dirty, I think. Yeah, it's just a nice collection of digital aux, and then it being processed, and again more bit crusher, more distortion. More distortion is always good, I think. Then a little verb. Yeah, we're big fans of the Valhalla verbs. Here, we actually apparently used a preset over here called Sandpaper. That's sounds dirty, right? More fluid. And then this is just, the simple is just being used for a high cut right before the drop. And then another distortion. That's not doing too much. We do that a lot. Use a lot of distortions in a row, but then not have them full on mix. So yeah, it's not being. So you keep a little bit of the original signal and just add a little bit of the distorted signal, and then just it's easier to layer distortions like that, so it doesn't get all really. It doesn't turn to just dirt, But this, this bit really helped. adding some little rhythm. It's it's not doing that much. It's not a very complicated thing. It's just an LFO. I think it's all being. Oh no, it's not. It's just notes. So it's not doing a whole lot. See, it's just the good old F node. And we did layer that on the drop with something that's even more distorted. But those, I think those things on top of each other just really make them stand out, Oh. I can play it without. It just, it's also being sidechained a lot, so it gives the whole thing just adds to the groove.
And then the arpeggio comes back.
Yeah.
And here again, just to keep the speed up. So now we're at the switch, and that's kind of where we like really lose the arpeggio part, and then just go in like a different riff, just to get some more variation in there. With the pitching and
the bass sound itself or the bass melody is more predominant here. It's more. This needs to carry the track, so you can't have just a straight F all the time.
So what we did here with the bass is like we resampled one of the original bass sounds we had here and just processed it even further in the nice. So you get like this an extra layer of dirt on top, which is nice. Pick this up. Not really a lot happening in here. Just got the ladder. It's not been. Yeah, no, the one is disabled.
No, here. In the script.
Oh yeah, of course, we used to unison. Yeah, there's one. Yeah, that's one of the downsides. So because the Unison X one in this one sounds still a bit better, but if you start to use the portamento, you can use if you really want to make it really dirty. Let me just if you bypass this one and then you open up the starting. So was there Unison X. This one, if you put this in it's like it's kind of what we wanted, but to use that together with the portamento, the portamento doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
But try use that maybe on like a nice big reese. So then there's like a lot of fluid again, big surprise there, more devastator, the faster.
Yeah, we do that a lot as well. Get like a modulating plugin, like a fluid or a phaser before distortion. Because if you distort it before the distortion, like the way the sound gets distorted afterwards will sound very different. And if you do it the other way around, you distort the clean sound first, and then you add a phaser or a chorus. It won't get you that. It'll give you different. It'll give you different modulation. But I think for like Reese movement, it's usually better to at least do something. It'll create a lot more stereo as well, because a lot of the stereo information, you'll gain stereo information by adding a modulator, and then distorting that will give you more stereo information even.
You actually use two diffusers on here.
Yeah.
This is a bit silly, but Nice.
But as you can see here,
Yeah.
we're not.
Nah, it's pretty dry. Like, again, the phaser time. Yeah, it's mainly, I guess, like, probably, yeah, all the output volumes are on pretty hard, so if you start taking these off. What's that? So yeah, there's like an extra layer of what's played a bit higher as well though. So that's how you, so just by putting on a simple layer like that, you can just like dirty it up a lot. And there's another one. Oh no, that's just the MIDI. That's the MIDI retrigger for the.
Yeah, you can yeah.
Yeah, that might be cool to show.
We've got a MIDI track, and that's got a MIDI output to the LFO tool. Let me see if it. And what that's doing, it's modulating the like the pitch LFO tool receives from this MIDI part. Over here, you can see we pointed that to the cutoff of the filter in LFO tool, so you can it's more or less acting as a synth filter that way, you know, with key tracking on. And that's just, yeah, a phaser type with more drive as well. So, see, and that's creating the movement in that thing. Just makes it sound a little more like a resampled synth, because now the whole filter is is moving with the keys or with the MIDI. For the extra drama here, we needed. I mean, we can't have the bass and the kick and the drums, you know, do everything over here. So what we did add another stab as well. 2 of them actually. With quite a bit of modulation. This is being modulated by LFO tool again. See, this is just a cut of this, I think. Yeah. Yeah, with that, you know, slowly being drawn like this, it'll just keep the sound more interesting over here. And we doubled it with a good old Vengeance sample even. With some convolution reverb. So play it back. That's not doing a whole lot. Well, yeah, this is all just another Valhalla verb, but vintage verb instead of the other one. Let's see, and good old ping pong delay. That's doing the most. And then 16 bars after this, like when we switched to the drop, we decided to add something to carry it on to like this second breakdown. So we added a few things. I think this was one of the.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was a pretty cool thing.
Yeah.
Really kind of carries the track forward and brings like this small layer of drama. Really, because it sounds a bit.
Yeah, which is. All this has been, let's see, this envelope, what's that doing again? That's doing the comb filter. The comb filter in Surge is just great. I don't know any synth that sounds similar to this, especially it's got 4 different types, and when you put the resonance up like this, it'll just make these weird noises. And this is just being modulated by it says LFO over here, but it's not actually doing an LFO type modulation because it's set to envelope here, and this is just doing a 16 bar envelope. So it's actually one note that you can press and it'll just keep on running with, with this doing the comb filter, and this, what's this doing? This is just doing the pan. So I've got one slow LFO doing like a panning thing over the whole thing. Seeing by itself, the sound is already quite dramatic. You know, it's kind of, I don't know, it's haunting. And that's all this, I think. So if I turn, see, I'll this is what it sounds like with a normal low pass. See, so it's basically everything's being created by that comb filter. The whole character of the sound. Yeah, it's pretty straight up sine. Yeah, it's got a little unison. And on, the effects on these aren't too spectacular. It's just another phaser. And this is a dimension expander, also made by the guys who do LFO tool. That was, I think it's, just a little stereo.
It's the same thing as in Serum.
Yeah.
Really, they release a lot of their effects as separate plugins. Same for the compressor.
Yeah.
And all that stuff.
This is actually not doing anything except like a little flange.
I think I use it for like volume automation. It's actually a pretty nifty trick if you like want to do some volume automation on your channels, but you don't want to touch the actual faders because you want to use those for mixing. I use stuff like Camel Fat, something at least with a 0 to 100 volume knob in there instead of like a gain volume knob, so you can just like automate the volume without messing with your track faders. Actually works really good.
The only downside of this is that it does dither everything to 16-bit.
Yeah, that's true. But if you find something else, like for Logic, you got one of the delay. I think it's the delay plugins for Logic, for example. That actually has, you can just like put the delay on like dry, and then but it actually has a 0 to 100 volume in there as well. Use that. I don't know. There's plenty of plugins.
And another surge, just doing another sweeper kind of thing. And as you can see, again, we're using the comb filter. Just giving that jet plane kind of thing. And that also, I think this again has like a very slow, it's got a very long ramp. Now it's doing an LFO thing, but it's set to 16 bars. So those are a couple of the effects that are helping to keep it interesting for another 16 bars. And we added a couple of more melodic elements as well.
Yes.
With an Omnisphere patch doing the choir.
Slightly distorted though, the guitar and all that stuff.
Just layering it with some chords. I think that the patch itself is not something we made. It's just a.
Oh, it is apparently.
Oh. Was it a layer then?
Huh?
I can't even remember.
No, I just took one of these like parts and fling it in.
Yeah, no, this is a fairly standard. Omnisphere patch with just one os playing that.
Cool.
Let's see, and there's another pad playing.
One of the trends. Yeah, it sounds like fairly simple.
See, this is a preset?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
drama sweeper.
The trans preset.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need it. You don't want to spend every waking second making a completely new sound for everything.
more presets actually. But this is when it drops. I'll play part of it. So yeah, this is when the second breakdown. Got the choir still playing, and one drone kind of thing, which is makes it a little bit a little darker.
Wrong choir.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I think it's the full choir.
Nice in the past.
Yeah, there's only F. Ja, er zit nog een keer zo voor.
Yeah, now on the that was actually in the first breakdown as well. We had that playing. So the ARP's coming back, doing another build up. Yeah, we've got this reversed sound.
Yeah, this were like the one of the arpeggios, I think, because it's
Yeah.
one of the arpeggios just like rendered and then reverse shit ton of reverb on there. And then it just swells up to the right chords which the reed space is playing. So at the end of the reed space it's like the small, you still get a hint of the arpeggio that was going on in the intro. You need a bit more on the background. Kind of fills it up pretty nice.
Yeah, so it's like it's the actual chord, and we then reverse the chord, put a whole ton of reverb on it, and then reverse it again. So you get a reversed reverb with it. So that's what made these. What else is in the breakdown? Ja, hebben we nog de MIDI. Let's see. Yeah. We're going to talk a little bit about the drums.
Four snare layers.
Drum and bass.
4 snare layers.
Yeah. As it's drum and bass, there's a lot of drums in here. As you can see, we've got about 25 maybe, 25 different tracks doing different things. This is the main kick.
Coming out of the kick synth.
Kick synth. It's actually like a little modulated preset they use actually.
Yeah. And you can. What's nice about it is you can. I don't know if you're not familiar with this one. There's a newer version now, Kick 2, which is a bit more. It gives you a bit more control in this one. But you can actually like change the sound of your kick like real easily, and because you have like. You do that, and then you can use this one to like get it really, really on that sweet spot in the mix, because you can like modulate every part of the the envelope to the tone you want, which is really sweet.
Yeah, it's got a pitch envelope, a volume envelope, and then over here you can change like the click sound, which that gives you a lot of the transient information from the kick. So that's it's handy. It's a nice punchy kick. I think this kick is just a sidechain, so that's not.
Yeah.
It's just playing the same thing as the kick pattern, but because we ran out of sidechain options, I think we doubled it and added it to so we could use it for more sense. processing on the kick. It's just we've got Steinberg's multi-band envelope shaper, and that's just giving it a little bit more, a little bit more body in the low end. And we took down the tail of the sub, because it, so it doesn't interfere with the actual sub. So not the low end from the kick, but the sub in the mix. And this is basically not doing anything.
Probably for your modulation again.
Or dithering.
Mm.
And yeah, we've got an EQ taking out a little bit of the super low end, which you don't really need for. Not that there's a lot in here actually, but
better be safe than sorry, I guess.
Exactly. We've got a 2-band distortion over here with it's not being distorted in the low end, but it is it's got some tape saturation on the top end. It just gives it a lot more, brings out the highs. So yeah, all in all, that just gives the kick a little bit more character and more weight, presence in the mix. Okay, and, let's see. The snare is actually a bit more complex because it's 4 snare layers.
Basically samples mostly, like battery.
Yeah.
It's like samples from them, samples we. Yeah, I think this one is only the BZ snare one is playing in that one. And it's like the classic sample.
He ripped that sample from us. Every track he's done that snare. So one day we'll just soon get everything.
Let's not put that part in.
Yeah.
So, yeah, lots of snare layers, lots of like samples from modified ones. Get like the attack good on that one. Yeah. Maybe we can show them the BSD one. We did a lot of processing. Snare one.
What's important is with all these layers is that you do tune all the snares so they don't, they're not off key with each other. Or so as you can see, all of them have this one frequency here, which is actually the C sharp. Takes a little bit for them to sync up, but yeah, that really helps if you make sure they have the same like root frequency. Then it's easier to layer it. It'll sound a lot tighter in the mix. I mean you can do an octave up maybe, but I wouldn't do too many weird things with even if you get it like a 7th up, will probably sound a little weird. The processing on this, on all the snare layers, let me see. Yeah, Native Instrument Transient Master, I think. It's just giving a lot more attack. And took down the sustain a little, and EQ is taking down a little bit of the root frequency, because it's with all the snares having the same root frequency, it does sometimes it just gets too loud, you need to tame it a little bit. And as you can see, like this one's actually doing the same plugins, more attack, and a little dip on the 200. This one's probably not.
It's the addictive drums.
It's addictive drums. Just adding a layer like this just helps giving it a bit more liveliness, like because it's not just playing the same straight up sample every time. Having a different, it is playing samples. It's not generating anything, but it's got so many samples that it'll like roll through them. So every snare hit will be different. And that just makes it a little bit livelier. That's why we add that. And over here, this is just shortening the tails on certain frequencies. See, it just tightens it up a little bit. Yep. So yeah, that was the kick and the snare. Let's see what else is in the drum. Okay. Yeah, there's just a little crashing there. Just a sample, nothing spectacular on that. Hardly any processing. The loop itself, that's pretty. I think this was made with.
Yeah, it sounds like it is a bit.
Yeah, see, that's just an acoustic drums in a hi-hat loop. That's been. There's also like extra rides and a little shuffle to give it a bit more speed. See, that's just. It's just two different samples, like this. This little shaker is just a battery triggering two different samples.
I'm playing triplets.
No, we're not playing triplets.
Oh.
That would be weird.
Yeah, that's it. No,
let's see, and to like, because it's two different samples, we did add like a couple of effects, and just to give it to glue them together a little more, with a distortion. And this plugin is actually pretty cool. This is a different sort of compression. This just compresses like the low level of a signal instead of like taking down the highs. It'll push up the lows. So you get a little like all the dirt from the other from the bottom. You'll get more presence, but you'll still have the sharp attacks from the top end. See, I think we use this. Let me see. Like, where's the drum bus here? Okay. The whole drum bus doesn't. I mean, the snare does have a lot of processing on there. Oh no, that's all the processing was on the actual channels. The only thing we've got on the snare is now another vitamin, giving it more highs. Yeah, just to give it a little bit more presence. And then we've got, this does make quite a big difference. That's the New York compression on the drums. See if we can. Yeah, the New York compression is doing quite a bit. Once again, we're using this compressor, the MV2 from Waves. And some saturation with a clean tube from Saturn. And that's just, it's important that you use a plugin that doesn't cause like any phase issues. Otherwise, the sound will get really weird. But with with these two, you just give the whole drum box, the whole drums just get more body, It's what did I just turn off in the stereo? This needs to go to drums. Let me see if we can see. That's just a drum bus playing, yeah. Yeah, just adding that just gives it a lot more weight. That's the only thing, the reason we have that. It's just to get the whole. Yeah, it makes a really big difference. You know, it's hard to it's easy to overdo because it does. Yeah, if you add too much New York, it'll just sound too compressed and too just overdone. But if you tame it a little, it does help give the drums weight. Okay, yeah, we've got another widener channel. That might be cool. Yeah, that's actually we've got this one effects channel that's we've got the Reese sending out to it, and what else? And the acid part as well. And on this, it's a bit of a weird trick. It's just a really distorted effect send. So we send out to it like the from the buses, and we distort it a lot, add tons of stereo information. Even added a really short verb just to make it as wide as possible. And then we take out all the low, or especially all the it's got to be more in this. Hold on. See here. Clicked on the wrong one. So yeah, we're high passing everything off it. So the only thing you hear is just the toppy end wide noise. And by itself, it doesn't sound particularly cool, but it does help a lot. So yeah, what we're basically doing is distorting all the side information of all the tracks, and then adding that. And just while it's subtle, if it's subtle in the mix, it does give you a lot of extra stereo information. And there's actually that's. See, there's another general reverb channel. Distortion verb. What was that doing? That's on these two. Yeah, that's another distortion or another verb channel. Just a little driven. Yeah, and actually the main, we haven't even when this was released on the album, and we didn't. There was a little extra mastering. I can't even remember. No, I don't think there was mastering on there.
On this one?
No, I don't think so. This was the. See, there's.
Do you use the original?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. The only thing we've got running on the master channel is the glue, which is actually not. It's not doing a whole lot. The threshold is only at -2 dBs. It does have quite a bit of makeup, so it does make the mix louder. And we're not using the clipping, so we're not using this for dithering. The ratio is down low as well, so it's just polishing a tiny little bit. There's not much. There's not a real big difference with it on top.
Yeah. But it does give a bit of.
It's called the glue, so it's gluing it a little bit.
And then you got that UV22 thing at the end.
The only thing we're doing here is we like this for dithering. This, if you bounce through this, it'll bounce it to a 16-bit, and I think it sounds a little better than Cubase. Actually, the difference is probably quite hard to hear. If you look at what's the thing up here?
VLM.
Like a VLM meter, WLM meter. You can see how many lufs we're pushing. It's not exactly audiophile standard, I think. I think, but yeah, we try to make it as loud as possible and still sound good. I know, for example, Spotify turns everything down to -14 dBs. I can show you what that sounds like if you want. trying to do that with camel fat.
Distortion uit.
Ja.
Filter uit.
Oh yeah, this is probably Spotify standards now. Which, if you create the whole mix and mix it down like this, you'll probably get a more dynamic sound on Spotify. That's true, but as no one does it, and for DJing, which a lot of our music is made for, we just need it to be as loud as possible. And I don't think the sound quality itself, because we keep it in mind, we are making sure that it doesn't sound too clipped, and there still are dynamics, and so it's a bit, it's a bit of a compromise. But you just can't get away with DJing tracks that are on minus 14 LUFs. No way.
So that was the whole thing. We just walked you through the Scarif track. I hope you found it pretty cool and informative, and maybe we'll see you another time. Shows or on socials, whatever. Hit us up. Later. Peace out.
Yeah.